Well, hello, everyone, and welcome to Bedford. Nick Anastas, Steve Beals with you. It's FNL Gridiron presented by Beals Insurance. Another jam-packed show as we get set for Week 6 in the high school football season. Hard to believe, but we're past the midway point. A lot to get to, big matchups to preview, and guests to speak with. We'll begin with Tom King of the Nashua Telegraph in just a few minutes. Tom will join us from a remote location. And then we get Tom Babian, head coach at Pelham, the defending champion Pythons, unbeaten to begin the season. Big matchup against fellow unbeaten Trinity, unfortunately postponed due to the COVID-19 situation. But we'll talk with Coach Babian either way at the bottom of the hour. And then an old friend at this point, Steve Abraham of Salem, will jump on, give us an update with the Blue Devils. They got back on the winning track with a win over Wyndham, and we'll look to do it again against a very stubborn Keene team that is surprising folks across the state. Steve, where do you want to begin with 5 weeks in the bag?
Well, obviously went over to Keene and realized there was no cell service over there. Been working on that technically, and that was a hard game to walk away from for me because I was really anticipating that matchup. As it turned out, Keene beat them handily, which really surprises me, and it really leads into, I think, a good call by you and Ben to go into Salem this Friday night and see how good Keene is as it relates to Salem, which we know is a very good football team, far better than their record for sure.
Keene had a 19-0 lead, by the way, over North at halftime back on Saturday. Shut out the Titans again in the second half, 33-0 that final. They're 3-2. Keene is now as North slips to 3-2.
Yeah, but you still have to look at that. That's a pretty wide margin, Nick. I saw about 6 or 7 minutes of the game as we were filing out, and it looked to me like their running attack, they have some small guys that were on the line, but boy, they were getting it done. They have some good-sized guys as well. So I'm really anticipating that game. And then finally, on Saturday, we're going to be able to see Bo Lebanon, of all teams, come down. We know Roger Brown is extremely high on Lebanon. He has been proved right on that. I'm looking to see how strong that team is. And who knows, maybe we could get a look at Timberlane in Division II as well. You know, we'll see what happens. But I'm really looking forward to see how strong Lebanon is and how well Bo can respond to one of the top teams in the state. So,
yeah, that's Division II action. As we know, Lebanon unbeaten in the minds of many, at this point at least, the team to beat in Division II. Bo, of course, still dealing with the fallout from the tragedy, losing one of their players towards the beginning of the season. We invited Coach Cohen to come on tonight, but he had other obligations. But we'll catch up with him, of course, on Saturday when we come your way in the afternoon. And as you mentioned, Steve, Friday night programming note, we're down in Salem as we take on, get set to see Keene take on Salem. So two of the better football teams in D1 Friday night, two of the better teams in Division II on Saturday. Speaking of good teams and speaking of Division I, Winnicott, they remain unbeaten, a big 40-6 win over Dover in Week 5. We were out there on the Seacoast, and for the second straight week with us in attendance, Winnicott up their game as they take it home in blowout fashion, as I mentioned, 40-6, handing Dover their second loss.
Yeah, things just kind of got undone for Dover. I thought that Winnicott played great defense. I thought Dover showed signs of who they are, a good football team, but there's something about that game that it just the strength of Winnicott, the defensive line, Jacob's brothers,
Frederick's
brother, Jake and his brother were just fantastic in that game. They are so deep, so strong. I thought the game plan in the second half by Winnicott was excellent. And that running attack and how they attack with that veer offense is just very, very powerful. Nick, I don't know as a team that maybe tied Exeter I've seen, but I don't see a team that gets through the hole quicker than they do. You know, Salem gets through the hole very quick. Pinkerton gets through the hole Londonderry does when they. It's just the teams that are doing it this year are ones that are running the ball through the hole with extreme quickness and able to force too many guys in the box. And that old typical thing, that's when you hit those play actions, or you hit a bubble screen, you hit whatever. Winnicott and everything that they seem to do look pretty good. A lot of turnovers that in the beginning parts of that game that kind of went back and forth there. I thought Dover had some chances, but I still come down to the same thing. I really saw opportunities early in that game. There were some penalties that hurt them as well. But they got a quick turnover, Dover, and if they could have cashed in on that, I'd said that was one of the keys of the game for Dover. They needed to score early in Winnicott. But one of the things that I saw, and I've continually seen, is opportunities to drop back with Sullivan and be able to realize that it's well covered. Defensive backs have got it, double coverage, nothing downfield.
Tuck and run, right?
Tuck and run. Yeah. And I didn't see it. So
Dover had a hard time moving the football in general, despite 3 Winnicott giveaways. Did not score till the final minute of the third quarter, and by then the game was all but over. So Winnicott unbeaten at 5-0. They'll take on Portsmouth on the road tomorrow night in week number 6. The Clippers, not to be outdone, big winners again, 41-7 over winless Spalding. So they are now, the Clippers are 4-1. The only other unbeaten besides Winnicott is Londonderry. Another monster win on Saturday on their home field, 51-0 over Alvern to improve to 5-0. They'll be heavy favorites at Wyndham in week number 6. Other scores, Exeter, they rebound nicely, 35-6. Some off-field drama in that game at Memorial. Didn't seem to slow down the Blue Hawks at all as they improved to 3-1. That sets up a nice conference matchup against Dover in Exeter this week. Memorial, by the way, is still looking for their first win. They'll play 10 a.m. Saturday morning at home against Bedford. Speaking of the Bulldogs, they were 34-0 winners over Central. A great job, again, bouncing back by the Bulldogs after they fell the previous week to Goffstown. Central, after a stop and start again season, still winless, now at 0-3. Goffstown, back-to-back winners now, a 34-23 win over Concord. So they sit at 2-1 after an abbreviated COVID-19 schedule. Concord won in week 1, have not won since, trying to rebound, as I mentioned, against Central this coming week. Other scores, Pinkerton, another big win, 47-12 over Merrimack. Astros are 4-1. They'll take on 1-4 South this week. The Purple Panthers slipped back on Friday against BG, 35-7. Another win for the Cardinals as they are 4-1. And again, the final score involves Salem, 26-7 over Wyndham. That game was in Salem, so the Blue Devils are 3-2. Keene is 3-2 following that previously mentioned 33-0 win over Nashua North.
Yeah, every week has really been good because there's so many contenders and so many teams that are improving. There's 5 teams that you can really look at, and that I don't even want to call it a second tier. I'm going to call it 1B.
The one-loss tier.
Not just the win-loss tier. Who's coming on strong? Who's playing excellent football?
Right.
That is holding up very, very well against some of the better teams. I thought that win by Keene was very impressive given the time. And Dante's a good coach. Would be interested at some point to hear from him what his thoughts were and what happened in that game. But Keene's one of those teams. BG, those are 2 teams in the West that I think you got to watch on that 1B tier. Goffstown in the North clearly, and then Salem. Salem's had a very tough schedule and lost that very tight game to an extremely good BG team. Let's see what Salem does with Keene. I think this is going to be a good game to watch to try to get the differentials. And, of course, the last one is that team I talk about every single week. I think Portsmouth's defense is 1A material. It's just whether or not that offense can catch up to that. Clearly on teams that they are favored, they're really winning by large margins, Nick. It's about taking on those really top-notch teams offensively to see how many points they can put in the board because they got a solid defense.
You got to throw Pinkerton in that mix too.
Pinkerton I never put out of it. I actually have Pinkerton in 1A. to be honest with you.
And same with Exeter.
And same with Exeter.
Yeah.
And same with Winnicott. Yes, I have those. Those are the top three. And Derry and Londonderry. Those are 1A4. I just gave you 1B5. Those, in my opinion, couple teams are going to pull out of that 1B group.
Somebody's going to get left out.
Somebody's going to get left out. Exactly,
teams,
Nick.
Right.
That's exactly what's going to happen.
8 playoff teams. You just mentioned 9 contenders. So there's the word of the day, stratification. And nobody breaks it down better than that man right there. Except for maybe the guy coming on next.
Let's give
Tom
credit where credit's due. Hey, we need a Tom Pound update as well. What's going on there with this?
He is at a field hockey game today. He'll be joining us from the field in just a minute.
Let's get him on.
So sit back, relax, as the comedy section of the show commences with Tom King of the Nashua Telegraph. You're watching FNL Gridiron. It's right here on Friday Night Lights, New Hampshire, and it's presented by Beals Insurance. Our broadcast today, as it always is brought to you by Beals Insurance Agency, with locations now in both Bedford and Londonderry. Whether you need home, auto, or business insurance, Beals Insurance will get you both the price and quality coverage that's right for you. Just call 603-471-9999 or visit BealsInsurance.com to request a free quote and start saving money today. Again, that's BealsInsurance.com. Is your company interested in showcasing your brand to thousands of high school sports fans across New Hampshire? If not, why not? And if so, let's go. Friday Night Lights New Hampshire is seeking sponsorship partners. It's the perfect way for your company to get out in front of the moms and dads who make up our community. Help us help you, and we can grow together. If you're interested in partnering with Friday Night Lights New Hampshire, then email us at fnlnhmedia@gmail.com. That's fnlnhmedia@gmail.com. Join our team today. It's FNL Gridiron here on Friday Night Lights New Hampshire. It's presented by Beals Insurance. Nick and Astis, Steve Beals from the Beals Insurance Studios in Bedford. We're live every Thursday night at 6. You can check out the archives anytime after that for free, of course, on our YouTube channel, FNLNH Media. Again, the handle on YouTube, the channel on YouTube is FNLNH Media. We got Coach Tom Babian coming up from let's say Plymouth. I'm in Pelham, of course. The Pythons are 5-0 in Division 3. Coach will join us in about 10 or 15 minutes, and then we close out the show with Salem's Steve Abraham. But joining us right now from Nashua is the Nashua Telegraph's Tom King, who is, of course, a friend of the program, joining us on the telephone. Tom, how are you?
Not bad, Nick. How are you?
We are good.
How are you, Mr. Beals? I assume you're there as well?
I'm just holding my post here, waiting for Nick to call on me, Tom.
Well, as you probably know, I'm not poolside, so that...
well, we were going to... I was hoping for an update on the Tom Pound. Why don't we talk about that unless Nick steals it from me?
Go ahead, Tom.
Yeah, the Tom Pound's all shut down now.
Oh, man.
Unfortunately, yeah.
I figure a little too cold.
It's the saddest day of the year. It happened about 3 weeks ago. It's the saddest day of the year.
Wow, that's a long winter before the Tom Pound opens.
It sure is. It's about 8 months duration, 7 months duration.
So what is it, Tom? Is it that Irish skin that when the pool closes, when the suntan lotion is not needed anymore, right?
When the pool closes, I shrivel up.
There you go. There you go, just cutting right to the point.
Well, that's why you keep busy on it every single sporting events in southern New Hampshire.
Yeah, pretty much. That feels that way these days, that's for sure.
Right. Well, speaking of sporting events, Tom, you took the long, vaunted drive from Nashua to Keene on Saturday to witness the Blackbirds really flex their muscles 33-000 over Nashua North. That surprised everybody.
I'm glad. It probably surprised you to see me there.
That's correct.
I'm glad I made the trip because I wouldn't have believed the score had I seen it otherwise. Mm-hmm. But BG, I mean not BG, but North was just pushed off the line, dominated between the tackles, and in some ways maybe it was a good thing in terms of preparing them for what they're going to face with BG's running attack on Friday night. But in other ways, it really opened your eyes up to what the heck is going on out there in Keene. Mm-hmm. They were a secret last year. Nobody knew a whole lot about them because they didn't play. They didn't play anybody in the area in the conference. They were, because of COVID, they had the freedom of scheduling, and they played most of the teams that were around there. They They wouldn't come over the mountain to come here. BG had to go there for a play-in game that otherwise the Cardinals should have been able to host. They agreed to go there as long as fans could go. And it was, BG won the game, and same thing with the opener. BG won it. It was that they handled Alvern pretty well. And Alvern's, not great, but they're not bad. I thought that would be a much more competitive game. And then, so I said, well, let's see what happens with North and Keene. And boy, I was shocked. I was just shocked the way, that Linwood Patnode has created a new culture out there, and it's worked.
Yeah, so, that seems to be the case. And also, of course, you have to wonder if North was ready to go. I think typically sometimes after a long bus ride, especially with a young group, not a whole lot of senior leadership here with North, sometimes you get off the bus, you're kind of yawning, you're still kind of stretching, and next thing you know, you're down 14-0 and the first quarter's over. Right.
But let me tell you something, Nick. There are a couple factors that you have to look at that maybe not many are. One, I haven't seen a North or South sports team that week after they played each other for the Battle of the Bridge play very well.
Right.
It's just a huge hangover from that rivalry.
Right.
That's one factor. The second factor to me is North couldn't get going offensively. I think that, playing on grass versus playing on turf in a lot of sports really makes a difference, even in football. You could tell that North just didn't have that burst. Finley and Jack Peters, didn't have that quick burst on the grass, and that grass was thick. Keene kept it pretty thick. That was Keene's day all the way around. It was their place, their game, their style, their tempo, and their score. And that's it, That's how it worked. And what it does is it muddles up the conference a little bit. BG could solve that problem with a win tomorrow night and basically be the clear, the conference would almost be theirs if they win. Because, they'll probably, there would be 5 wins. They'll probably get a 6th somewhere along the line, even though they have to play, some of the iron that's still, they have to play Pinkerton still. But, in my mind, that's probably what would happen. So they can probably go a long way to clinching that conference. But if they lose it, then you got North at 4-2. You got BG at 4-2. And Keene will hold a tiebreaker over North, and North will hold a tiebreaker over BG. So it's still a big game tomorrow night at Stellas.
Yeah, absolutely. One to keep an eye on for sure. Then, of course, you throw in a Keene win, which could happen at Salem. That further, of course, complicates the picture.
Oh, yeah. I mean, if Keene keeps winning, I said to Patnode after the game, I said, now you're in the conversation. And he goes, no, not yet, not right now, But, I mean, that's what he's going to say.
Right.
But he's done a great job out there and deserves a lot of credit for it. And I don't think that many people know about it, but I think that woke up a lot of people on Saturday.
Yeah. Tom, we're going to be at the the Keene at Salem game tomorrow night. And, when Ben and Nick decided to do that, I said, yeah, okay. And then all of a sudden you come out of this week and you realize the spread and the score. When I was there, I was able to see about 6 to 8 minutes of the game where I kind of stood there and I watched the beginning because we just couldn't get a cell signal out there.
Right. I saw Nick on the way out. I got there late. I got there after Keene had just scored their first touchdown.
Yeah,
Here's a key point in the game. North had the ball down 7-0, and they drove it down. Finley was running right, running left, and he got the ball down to the 15-yard line.
I saw it.
But on that play, there was I think it was a holding call or a personal foul call against North. Yep. And all of a sudden, the ball goes back to the 39-yard line. The drive dies.
Yeah.
Keene takes the ball. 4 plays later, they're in the end zone.
One of the things.
Game over. Game over right there.
Well,
game over.
One of the things I saw was on the right side of that line. I give the whole offensive line credit. I thought the offensive line ruled that game. They had to. And they, as far as I could see. And on the right-hand side, I don't think 2 of those linemen were over 175, 180 pounds, to be honest with you. But they drove off that ball, Tom, and they came out of that cadence firing low with outstanding skill right into the midsection and completely were controlling the defensive line at will.
dominated, Steve.
Yeah.
They dominated. They ran for over 300 yards. They threw the ball 3 times in the game.
Well, we were out there eating lunch in the parking lot before we went home with our tails between our legs, and we're hearing the cheers. We're hearing the cheers in the crowd, and I was telling the guys, I want to go back there and try it again because I knew something really unique was happening in there with Keene. Yep. And when I first saw the guys come out, you see Nashua North out there, much bigger, honestly looked more athletic in those white uniforms when they came out. And then we see Keene come out, and I said, you know what? These are going to be scrappy. No question that Keene's going to be scrappy players. But let me tell you, they came loaded, and they shot every bullet they had, and it paid off. So they're going to go over to Keene, and you're pretty familiar with over to Salem. Right. Tom, talk to us what you think Nick and I are going to see calling that game tomorrow night.
Well, Keene's going to have to be prepared for Salem's speed.
Right.
That's the one thing that Keene didn't see with North was much speed, because North was so far down and so far tired, because a lot of those North kids play both ways. But Keene is going to have to be prepared for Aiden McDonald and the speed that Salem's got.
Ayler too.
Yep. Yeah, exactly. And that's something, and this time Keene will be the one making the trip.
Right.
So, I look for something, I still think Salem will beat Keene tomorrow night. But here at Stellos, you're going to see 2 of the better defensive players in the state, in Jacob Baker for Girton and Toby Brown Jr. for North. And Keene did a good job of running away from Toby Brown Jr.
Yeah, he's something. He's something. We picked him up.
You had an eye on him last year.
I had an eye on him last year. I thought he was great as a sophomore, and we saw him one time this year, and he looks solid. He's coming. I'll tell you, another guy that's going to be out there, going to be all-state maybe as a junior. I could argue he could be on second team or first team this year. It's Ty Miley out of on Londonderry, the nose guard from Londonderry. He's one of the finest linemen. He reminds me of Ackerman in so many ways, with double gapping, controlling two people on offense, getting separation. I see the same thing in Brown. I really do, Tom. Yeah.
No, he's a technique player. He's got a high motor, the whole bit. But Brown is more about speed than he is. Brown is more about speed and technique than anything else.
Tom, I know you pay attention to the North. What do you feel about this Goffstown-Bedford thing going on? If Goffstown continues on a ride in the North, how good is Goffstown now, and are they still strengthening it to your knowledge?
Steve, I can't really say because I haven't seen them. I haven't seen them. I've only seen the teams that are in the Nashua area.
Yeah.
But Goffstown going into the season was basically branded as the favorite, right?
Right.
So, they're going to have, they started out slow.
Yep.
So maybe they're just hitting their stride now, but a lot of people still think, although I guess people who watched the Pinkerton Londonderry game felt that Pinkerton let that get away and that they had a chance to win it. But right now it looks like it's Londonderry's world and we're all living in it.
Well, I think second half adjustments by Lozon were absolutely incredible on defense. They were when they came out, they were able to shut down a lot of that offense, and Albert just wasn't able to get in the type of places on the field where he can break it, and they contained him. Lozon never fails to amaze me of how well he adjusts in the second half.
Well, they've got a good team over there. It's much better team than what they had last year, and although they weren't that bad last year, but it's going to be they're the team to watch, and I'll get my first look at Pinkerton on. In fact, I haven't seen a Pinkerton team play in years.
I think they look excellent.
I'll get my first look at Pinkerton on Saturday when they come here for a rare matinee to play Nashua South at 2:00 on Saturday.
Well, I'll end here before I send it back to Nick. We did the MacPlac game over there with about 5,000 to 6,000 people there, Tom, and I will tell you, it's one of the most exciting high school football games I've seen in over a decade.
Well, it's a great rivalry, Steve. I was in on that rivalry when it first became one in the early '80s.
The 1800s?
And the MacPlac.
I'm teasing you, brother.
The MacPlac game was, hey, look, Christian Arcan at 98.5 in Boston always says I covered football when they wore leather helmets. So, but that was a big deal back then in 1985. In fact, that was the one instruction that the former longtime principal of Pinkerton Brad Eck always gave to his coaching staff.
Brad Eck.
Beat Londonderry.
He was a good one, Brad Eck.
Don't care what you do, beat Londonderry.
There you go.
And that's the big rivalry there.
Well, all right. Well, Tom, we're up against it. We appreciate your time. Enjoy the field hockey game tonight. And
still a good game. It's 1-0 with 11:55 to play. You still have time. Well, you probably don't have time to get out here and see the end of it. But that's okay.
No, I'll be checking your.
You and Collins doing the game tomorrow night?
Yes, we are. Yep.
So we'll have two good games on tomorrow night.
Yeah. So tune into ETV.
Yeah, we'll be on Nashville. Yeah, we'll be on Nashville ETV, and I believe it'll be live, or we'll be streaming it, and all that good stuff. You know,
good stuff.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
All right, we appreciate it, Tom.
Guys.
Thank you as usual. Looking forward to catching up later. Thank you.
Take care, Tom.
Again, Tom King of the Nashua Telegraph, also a broadcaster for ETV in Nashua. Quick break. On the other side, some D3 talk with unbeaten, almost did it again, Pelham head coach Tom Babian. Are they the favorites?
They're on fire.
In D3. Looking for a second straight championship. We'll ask Coach what the key has been so far to that 5-0 start. You're watching FNL Gridiron. It's presented by Beals Insurance. Our broadcast today, as it always is brought to you by Beals Insurance Agency, with locations now in both Bedford and Londonderry. Whether you need home, auto, or business insurance, Beals Insurance will get you both the price and quality coverage that's right for you. Just call 603-471-9999 or visit BealsInsurance.com to request a free quote and start saving money today. Again, that's BealsInsurance.com. Is your company interested in showcasing your brand to thousands of high school sports fans across New Hampshire? If not, why not? And if so, let's go. Friday Night Lights New Hampshire is seeking sponsorship partners. It's the perfect way for your company to get out in front of the moms and dads who make up our community. Help us help you, and we can grow together. If you're interested in partnering with Friday Night Lights New Hampshire, then email us at fnlnhmedia@gmail.com. That's fnlnhmedia@gmail.com. Join our team today. Back here on FNL Gridiron. It's presented by Beals Insurance. We're live, of course, from the Beals Insurance Studios. I'm Nick Anastas. He's Steve Beals. Every Thursday at 6, we're live here on FNLNH Media on YouTube. Again, at FNLNH Media. Programming note, tomorrow we're in Salem to see the Blue Devils host Keene. That's a 7 o'clock kick. 6:45 Eastern is when we get our coverage started. Saturday, we are in Bow as the Falcons play host to undefeated Lebanon. So that is your weekend schedule. It's a 2 o'clock start in Bow on Saturday. Coverage beginning at 1:45. Subscribe to the channel. If you haven't done so already, you can do it for free. Again, on YouTube at FNLNH Media. We appreciate Tom King for jumping on. Steve Abraham of Salem coming up in a moment. But right now, Tom Babian of Pelham is our guest, and he joins us here on FNL Gridiron. There he is, Coach. Good evening. How are you?
All right. How are you?
We are good. Looks like you're in the weight room, Coach, putting in some work late night or what?
Yeah, no, we have parent-teacher conferences, so I got into a quiet place.
Probably a good idea. It's the calm before the storm.
Yes.
Coach, tell me about this start, this group, and what are the similarities to the team that brought home the championship a year ago?
I think they're the same type of hard workers. They're very focused day after day. They don't let things get too high or too low. And, I really think that's really the strengths of our team is they understand situational things that come up, like the game was canceled this week, and they're rolling with the punches and just getting ready for next week.
Yeah. What do you credit that to, Coach? Because we've heard similar things from other coaches on this program about their teams, how they never get too high or too low. Coach Lozon comes to mind with Londonderry, and you said it a moment ago. Is that just something that's embedded within the group personality, the group DNA, so to speak, or is that something that you and your staff have to consciously monitor and work with all season?
I think it's a little of both. I think the kids have done a great job being focused, but I also think, we have to keep them focused at times. So I think there's the yin and the yang between both.
Yeah. Over the course of, I don't know, the last several years since you've been at head of the program, as the head of the program, what changes have you seen in the culture? Because obviously that championship changed a lot of things in the landscape for sure in Division III, and now you're seemingly one of the shortlist contenders year in and year out. What are some of the differences, some of the improvements that you've seen within the program, within your time as head coach?
Well, I've been here a long time, so I've seen a lot. I've seen, the good, the bad, and the ugly. But the kids, I think that the difference now is that the kids have seen the winning, and I think they've seen what they can do, and they have confidence in themselves. Just like any other good program in the state, once you start winning, it helps everything. So. Yeah. I think the kids have just done a great job. I just give all the credit to the kids. They work timeless hours on just getting better, in the classroom, on the field, and I just give them a lot of credit.
Yeah. Tell us a little bit about some of the kids on the team. Who are the leaders? Who are the vocal leaders? Who are the guys who set the examples? Who are the guys you lean on in particular? Just give us a couple names so we can get a better idea of what goes on in the locker room and at the practice sessions with this group.
Sure. My three captains, I think, set the tone. Noah Coppinger, Kevin Bodenrader, and Justin Roach. And I have a great junior class also, so we have a really good leadership, between both classes. And you always want your upperclassmen to be the leaders, and they are. They do a great job.
Tom, going way back when I coached Youth League, we used to have to, from time to time, go down and play the Wyndham Pelham Razorbacks. And let me tell you, when you went down there, anything less than a war just never happened. And you went down there, and those guys ran the ball. Is that program, now that Wyndham is, I believe, has its own program now, right? And you guys are just pretty much Pelham proper, I believe, if I'm not mistaken. How are the Razorbacks still going strong, and are they a help to you feeding quality with players with basic skills for you to modify and improve?
Well, absolutely.
They're tough.
They do a great job. They do a great job down there, and I was going to say that's probably the one thing that I am very fortunate with the feeder program is that these kids come up and they're tough, and Pelham kids are just naturally tough kids, and it just continues every year. So I'm blessed with that. They do a really nice job down there, and we get a lot of quality kids.
What is it with Pelham when you look forward to the schedule? I'm going to back up just for a second, and let's pretend just for a second. I know it's hard to do as a coach because you're focused on to Cincinnati, as they say. Let's talk about that Trinity team just for a second. Most people in Division III believe there's a high probability you guys are going to meet again. First of all, are you guys going to try to reschedule that game and play that game before the end of the year, or is it over? Number one, first question, and then second one, when you look at that team, how do you think you match up against them with their skill sets versus yours?
Okay. Well, I guess to answer question one, nobody knows.
Okay, so that is the case. Okay.
If at all possible, we'll try. If it's not possible, then we just move
Nothing
on.
You can do.
Right. To answer your second question, Trinity is a fantastic team. There's a lot of good teams in Division III, and they're one of them. And they have a lot of really quality, skilled players on top of some good linemen. They're just a solid team. They're well coached. So I can't say anything. I can't see any glaring weaknesses. Let's put it that way.
Yeah. Jack Service, sophomore, looked real good. We actually did a Trinity game. We did Trinity Interlakes, and Trinity looked very, very solid. I can't tell you how excited Nick knows that I was to go in and do, because we were coming there to do your game that week, and it was just a real letdown when my son sent me the fact that you guys weren't going to play. So, looking forward towards the end of the year, who else, if not Trinity? You guys are going strong. Obviously, you have to earn that every week. We know. But assuming that thing continues, if you had to pick a third team out there in Division III that looks like they could be tough to handle? Who would you pick on that one?
Well, I think there's a few. I think Monadnock.
Well, then give me a few. Yeah, Monadnock. Okay. Yeah.
Monadnock, Campbell, Kearsarge. They're all in the mix. So
anything could
it could
happen.
be any one of those teams that pop up. Like last year, Monadnock sort of snuck up on people, and they gave us one heck of a game at our place in the playoffs. So, it could be a surprise team that just comes out of nowhere and plays really good ball at the end.
Well, I'll tell you, before I give it back to Nick, I love the opportunity for us to come down and do a game down there to showcase your program, because we hear about it all the time. We see the scores every single week. We look forward to them. So my hope is at some point we can get down there and do a game, because it sounds like football is pretty exciting down there. And that's no surprise given the old youth days that we went there, because the spirit at those games down in that field when we'd go down. They used to have a jamboree down there we used to go to, take the kids to, and we'd find out pretty quick how to play some tough football, because, with you guys in Wyndham, and then the Derry would come over and some other. This is going way back quite a ways. Football's big in that area, and there's tough kids down there. So we're sure hope that we can get down there and cover a game, and we'd love to meet you as well.
Oh, we'd love to have you. So anytime.
We got to keep that on there then. Yeah.
Yeah, Coach, we appreciate the time tonight. I've got one short follow-up question, and then I'll let you go.
Sure.
What do you do with the week off now that you've unexpectedly, kind of mid-season, have all of a sudden essentially a bye week in the middle of the schedule? How do you utilize that extra time?
Well, that's exactly what we're doing, is using it as a bye week and resting some people, getting healthy and working on basics, just getting better at the things that we know we're not good at, and the things we're good at, we try to improve on. So just try to get better, for the whole week.
Yeah.
Tom, I've done one quick thing. I've done some searches to try to find out where I could watch some of you guys' other games, because I in this interview I wish I knew more. With a team like that, is there a TV station or anything that covers the games that we could search online?
We do not. No, we
can't find it anywhere.
We don't have our games televised anywhere. We used to in town, and they don't do it anymore. So
yeah, what a shame. Yeah.
Flying under the radar.
I love film, and I like to watch film. And I've looked to try to find some material, and you guys can't find it anywhere. And I knew going to Trinity, I was really excited about going to see that, but I'm going to do my best to see if I can get down and maybe see a game if the hours work out around our broadcast. I'd love to see a game.
Sounds great. Thank you,
Coach. Thank you for joining us. Good luck with the off week, and again, we'll try to catch up with you before the end of the season. We appreciate your time tonight.
Thank you very much, guys. Appreciate it.
Good luck, Coach.
Thank you. Again, Tom Babian, Pelham head coach, a rising program,
steady and stable,
and still with room to grow despite the fact they're the champs. I mean, they accomplished that in 2020. The COVID-19 asterisks or not, they got the job done in the division, and now at 5-0, look again like the clear-cut favorite.
Yeah, football's big area down there in the youth. I know that program very, very well.
It's also demographically one of the growing areas of the state.
Without a doubt. I know the Jackson family. Steve Jackson's a good friend of mine, and that was an honor to play back. They're from Pelham, and he was a speedster. What a player he was. He actually played.
BG?
No. He went to in high school. He actually transferred to Central Catholic.
Oh,
but in the youth program, he was something else. And but he had a lot of friends. That was a tough decision because they just got a tremendous cohort of people coming up, of players coming up through that system. And I can tell you those Pelham youth coaches, and Tom, was very complimentary.
Yeah.
Those youth coaches prepare the basics for those kids when they come in, that Tom doesn't have to teach the basics. He can fine-tune that offense and defense accordingly. But these kids already understand how to block and how to form tackle. They understand positional play. They understand responsibilities. And for a bunch of tough kids, they've got a solid discipline in the program as well. And all these young men and do very, very well for the high school later on. And Tom, you can just see by talking to him, you can see that culture continues, and that's why he's so successful. The school absolutely qualifies for Division III as far as the personnel. Everybody says this and that, but they have the numbers for Division III. But no one would argue they could go up in Division II and cause some havoc as well.
Absolutely. And I think it's a tone setter as well when you see the head coach doing an interview from the weight room.
Right. Absolutely. Absolutely.
All right. We'll see where Salem's head coach is. Steve Abraham.
Always good to talk to Steve.
Pumping up a couple of reps before jumping back on the air with us, friend of the program at this point. Salem, seems like they're back on the right track, but just when we say that, they've got another tough matchup as their tough schedule continues with Keene tomorrow night.
I'm not saying it, Nick, because we're doing it. That game has elevated in stature. It's going to have serious implications to BG and to the West, and it's a must-win for Salem. They got to come out of there winning that game. They know it. Steve knows it, I'm sure.
Yeah.
And they have to have a good performance because they can still get there if they continue. Because they've been a good football team since day one. They've lost a couple heartbreakers.
All right. We'll bring in Coach next. You're watching FNL Gridiron. It's presented by Beals Insurance. Our broadcast today, as it always is brought to you by Beals Insurance Agency, with locations now in both Bedford and Londonderry. Whether you need home, auto, or business insurance, Beals Insurance will get you both the price and quality coverage that's right for you. Just call 603-471-9999 or visit BealsInsurance.com to request a free quote and start saving money today. Again, that's BealsInsurance.com. Is your company interested in showcasing your brand to thousands of high school sports fans across New Hampshire? If not, why not? And if so, let's go. Friday Night Lights New Hampshire is seeking sponsorship partners. It's the perfect way for your company to get out in front of the moms and dads who make up our community. Help us help you, and we can grow together. If you're interested in partnering with Friday Night Lights New Hampshire, then email us at fnlnhmedia@gmail.com. That's fnlnhmedia@gmail.com. Join our team today. FNL Gridiron here on Friday Night Lights, New Hampshire. Nick and Astis, Steve Beals from the Beals Insurance Studios. We are online, of course, on YouTube at FNLNH Media. Again, the channel on YouTube is FNLNH Media. Hit the subscribe button. You won't miss a thing. Dual broadcasts are back this weekend. Friday night, we're in Salem, Keene at Salem. Big game. Talk to Steve Abraham in just a moment on that front. And then, of course, Saturday, we're right back on the road at Bow, as they take on Lebanon. The Raiders are unbeaten. Bow, trying to find some home field magic. That should be a good one that kicks off at 2 o'clock Eastern. Our coverage gets underway at 1:45. All right, let's bring him in. Steve Abraham, friend of the show at this point, Salem's head coach. There he is, live from the couch.
He's home.
Coach, how are you?
I am home.
I like the artwork, by the way, over the shoulder. Looks like a covered bridge, or what is that?
Is that a long and winding road? Is that what that is? Or those are steps?
Yeah, it's like the football season.
Stairway to heaven.
Coach, your team seemingly back on track after that 1-2 start. You had an off week kind of thrown in there unexpectedly, I think, as well. Just kind of helter-skelter through the first half of the season or so. Do you feel like that's an accurate assessment? Your team is quote-unquote back on track following that 26-7 win over Wyndham?
I mean, we played that way last Saturday against Wyndham. I mean, we've had a couple good weeks of practice, but I don't know. I think football's still a lot like baseball. You're only as good as your starting pitcher, so we'll see tomorrow night. I mean, and Keene's a playoff caliber team, but to our kids, they've responded after a less than stellar start in what we expected of ourselves. So, and they really worked hard. We had a little adversity with an off week without the game against Alvern, but they showed up every day. And our team kind of mantra is just we got to get better, right? We got to get better at the basics. We got to tackle better and block better. And I'll give them a lot of credit. They've stayed resilient. They're still having fun, even though we've only played one game in the last really 3 weeks. So I'm proud of them, and I think we are headed in the right direction.
Yeah, it seemed like kind of a challenging point in time for your group. You lose to Pinkerton in big fashion, 49-21. Then you have to sit around and dwell on that for an extra week or so with a 1-2 record. How did your staff handle that point in time, handle that adversity, and seemingly got your team to turn the corner with that win over Wyndham?
Well, you saw me smirk because you didn't have to repeat the score, 49-21. I know it very well. But, I mean, listen, it's a long season, right? One loss isn't going to define us. One win isn't going to define us. So, right. And I don't care if we would have won that game 49-21. We have to get better, right? And so that's just what we tell our kids, right? That was just one moment in a 9-game season, right? Just work on getting better every day. And you got to turn the page pretty quickly, you know, and I will tell you what I told the kids. So after the game against Pinkerton, I said, you guys are teenage kids. Go enjoy life. Yeah. Let me worry about it. Let our coaching staff worry about it. Let us fix it. Go enjoy it, and we'll get you in the right direction. And they've responded.
I wish a coach would have said that to us back in the day, because that sounds like what it is, Coach. You're taking the pressure off the kids and putting it on your own shoulders, right? Yeah, I mean, they have enough pressure every day just to be kids in today's world and school and everything else. So, you know, I want them just to focus. And, I mean, in the end, right, this is a game. It's high school. It's the best time of their life with their friends. So I want them to enjoy it for the moment. Obviously have some urgency to it, but let us do that other side of it and let them go out and just play the game they love. Yeah, I agree. Coach, speaking of urgency, how big is this game tomorrow night? We'll be there, by the way, in Salem when 3-2 Keene rolls in. I know there's still a lot of time left, a full month of regular season action, but at this point in Week 6, how big is this game tomorrow night? It's a playoff game. We've got to go out and play playoff football, right? We need to win the game, right? If we we all talk about the playoffs, but if we want our season to end past Halloween, we need to go out and take care of business tomorrow night. And Keene's good. They're really good. I mean, they're huge, right? And they're tough. You know our offense, right? So I admire their offense. They get in their wishbone and they just pound it, and they're slow and steady. They're methodical, but watch them on film. They're really tough. And I know, they were on the downside of a few things here, but they're better than their 3-2 record.
I agree. Steve, as always, great to see you again. I have said week after week, you better watch out if Salem is able to turn it around, because there's good. I actually think if you guys win, and I do believe you will, with a full court effort, I believe you'll win tomorrow night. But this is a playoff game. You could not have said that any better, because it's kind of when you get on a seesaw or a tug of war, and you're watching that flag go back and forth, and that's kind of where you guys are right now. And if you pull that flag on your end, watch what happens with these guys, because the coaches haven't. Nobody's let this team down. This team ran into that game with BG, and there were 4 key elements in that game, and there was just 4 situations that you guys were 0 for 4 on the luck category in that situation. Hand everything you want to BG, but you guys are right there. Now seeing BG as strong as they were, it kind of begins, if you really look at Salem as a whole, they're the best team for their record, as far as I'm concerned, in all of Division I. And I mean that sincerely. I think if you guys come out and win that playoff game that you got tomorrow night, watch out for the rest of the schedule for going to come, because you got some players on that team that are just relentless, not only physically, they're relentless mentally. And if those guys can lift all the rest of those guys up and the spirit level goes up, and I really hand it to you. I know this isn't a question, but if there's ever a team that I want to talk about, it's you guys in Portsmouth. I think Portsmouth has got a great defense. I think Salem, if you guys can break it out tomorrow night, So anyway, I'll finally get to a question. I just have been following you. I've been pulling for you guys all season, because when you look at losing a player that was a marquee player and then having Ayler come in and do what he does, he's really impressed me. What can you tell us about him coming in as a back and doing the production that he's done?
Yeah, I mean, we've got a stable of backs, right? And Aiden's unbelievable, McDonald, but Tommy is our blocking back. So he actually won our lineman of the week this last week as a running back, because the blocks he made in Wyndham are why we won that game 26-7. And and then defensively he played his rear end off. So it's not just one back, it's a team of backs, and our fullback too, Gigante and David Jakes. But for Tommy specifically, he doesn't get the publicity. I was a lineman, right? So I know how important blocking is. So that's why I gave him the award this week of lineman of the week.
Yep, that's
and
an
he's
honor.
pretty fast too. Don't sleep on Tommy.
I like the way he cuts up field too. When he, whether it's blocking or running the ball, I love the way he runs up field. When he turns the corner, he accelerates well, and he's complimented McDonald, I think, extremely well. When you look forward with the teams that are ahead of you, because you've played a tough schedule to date, no argument there. When you look at the teams ahead of you that you've got left to play, I don't want to go by. I don't want to talk too much about it because I know you're focused on Keene and should be. But when you look at the teams out there that you think are dangerous besides Salem, who would that be?
I mean, don't sleep on North and Merrimack. They're both athletic teams. Merrimack can put up points. North is the returning champion still, and until they're done, they're the returning champion. Yeah. And obviously, right. Londonderry is great. They're well coached. They're fast. They're aggressive. I mean, they look right now like they have the ability to run the table. So on paper and what we've seen on film, Londonderry is the strongest team. But again, it's a playoff game for us every week.
When you look at Keene, like you talk about that wishbone, you obviously know how there are ways to defend the wishbone, but you got to execute. Everybody's got to execute to defend it, keep it inside, pull it into your strength of your inside linebackers, I presume. What about offense? What do you guys got to do on offense against this Keene team to succeed from when you look forward tomorrow night?
I mean, we have to just honestly, we just have to block our rules, and we have to do what we're coached to do, right? The wing T offense, it's no secret. It's about hitting the hole, ball protection, right? It's about our blocking with angles and, importantly, faking. But we just have to be patient and not try to win the game on one run. And we have the ability to win the game, not win the game, but we have the ability to score with Aiden and Tommy at any time. But they have to just stay to our game plan, and we're a lot like Keene. Right, we're gonna ground and pound you. Yep. We're gonna throw the ball. We throw the ball more than people think. And I trust that our quarterback Mustafa is gonna hit those open guys. So it's just about staying consistent and not giving up.
Right. Well, we knew when we were going to take this game on. Dick and Ben chose it. I'm all for it. I got to tell you, throughout the week, I've grown in excitement about covering this game because when you begin to look at Keene, you see that this could really be a great game for us to watch. I wish you guys the best of luck with Salem, and I'll tell you, having your top guy on there, McDonald, with on TV, you talk about a guy who's focused and serious about everything that he does. I'll tell you, that guy impressed me the other night. He takes no prisoners, and he lets you know exactly. We're not even done with a question, Steve, and he's already delivering us the answer because he's computed it in his head. He's a quick thinker.
Yeah, try coaching him.
I can imagine. I can imagine.
He's a lot of fun to coach, but he's the same way to us. So he's a great kid.
Best of luck to you, Steve. I'm a lineman guy, as you know. You coach the heck out of these kids on the line. It shows every single time I watch you guys play. I can't say enough. Everybody understands the blocking rules, and everybody's on the same page. I predict if you guys, the biggest thing that I can see is you got to get off that ball in cadence with this Keene team, because if you can match them, then I think you can come out victorious. But one thing I saw in that game last week is they come off the ball too, so it's going to be a good matchup, and I can't wait. Yeah, best of luck to you, Steve.
Looking forward to having you guys here. It's going to be a good one.
Oh, it's going to be a good one. We're looking forward to it.
Coach, last question. Is that a dog I hear in the background?
Yep. It is. My dog had a little surgery, so he's over here whining, and I can't give him my coach's whistle or scream since we're on the radio here. But
has he got the neck? Has he got the neck cone on?
Not yet, but that's coming in about 2 minutes.
Jeez. All right. Well, our producer just said any way we can see him.
Hold on. Can you? Benny.
Yes, Benny.
There he is.
That's
the same name as our producer.
Same name as our producer. You must have talked to him ahead of time. That's what happened. He knew it.
Yeah.
Well, we wish you good luck tomorrow night. We wish Benny a speedy recovery as well. And it's always a pleasure, Coach, to talk with you. Thanks again for jumping on.
Thank
Steve.
you, my friends. I'll see you tomorrow.
You bet you.
Again, Steve Abraham, class act.
He is.
Over there at Salem. Blue Devils getting ready for, in his words, a playoff game in week number 6 against a very stubborn Keene Blackbird squad.
I think they have for their record, I think they're the best team I think they're far better than their record. And watch Salem. I was going to tell Steve, and I forgot because I heard Benny in the background, so I was wondering, what is that? But I was going to mention to Steve, but that, when you look at that team, Nick, I think that if they can come out of the chute with a win tomorrow night, you can tell Steve's so aware.
Salem? Yeah.
It is a playoff game for Salem, 100%. It's a playoff game for both teams. That's what makes it exciting, really. They're going to play after Halloween, like he says. Both teams have got to win that game. One of them is going to come out victorious. But I think the thing that really is a factor is if Salem can come out of it, Nick, we're in a situation where Salem will look back and say, this adversity was the best thing that ever happened to us if they can win out and continue to get stronger every week.
Yeah, battle-tested after that 1-2 start for sure, and kind of a key juncture in the season for Salem and for Keene. Really,
and Steve is absorbing all of the pressure. You guys just go out and play football. We'll take care of the X's and O's. You guys go out and execute. You couldn't do anything better. When you hear a coach like that say, guys, go out fun, be high school guys, and then come and let's go after it.
Yeah.
Do the best you can. Discipline. I mean, that's the kind of coach you want.
A player's coach.
A player's coach, for sure.
Reminder, tomorrow night, 7 o'clock is the kick. Keene at Salem. We are there. And we'll be underway on the air anyway at 6:45 or so. Again, 6:45 Eastern coverage begins. The only place you can see it, full 1080 HD, is on our YouTube channel, FNLNH Media. Saturday, same thing. We're on the road at Bow, Lebanon coming to town. Raiders and Falcons get underway at 2 o'clock Eastern, 1:45 is when our coverage begins. Of course, it's all presented by Beals Insurance. Steve, your final thoughts.
Final thoughts are this is a big one tomorrow night. I also think every week that Bo goes out there and regardless of the situation, they go out there and fight like they've been fighting. It just shows. I was up there today, checking out the logistics for Ben as far as on the field, as far as getting a signal, and it was there. It's a nice complex and nice feeling when you're there. Looking forward to that Saturday, but. Saw a lot of the kids on the field, and my heart goes out to that community because the first week or two, it's one thing, everybody is kind of in tune, then all of a sudden it falls off, and you have to really deal with the long-term element of the grief and the tragedy of what happened. And I just think every week these young fellas and coaches get out and play football. It's so good for the school, so good for the band, cheerleaders, all the extracurricular, the students, the parents, take this tragedy head on, and a game like this, who knows if they could pull off a win, possibly. You never know. They come out there fired up.
Yeah.
Coach Cohen really impressed me, Nick, is a couple weeks ago there, and I'm sure he's got his guys ready to give them the best chance to win they can. We're looking forward to doing that. It's going to be a beautiful Saturday afternoon, too.
Yeah, looking forward to it. Yep, for sure. All right. Want to thank our guests, Tom King of the Nashua Telegraph. Tom, also a broadcaster for ETV in Nashua. We always enjoy speaking with him. Tom Babian, good introductory interview with him as Pelham looks to stay unbeaten. Not this week. They're off due to that game was canceled against Trinity, but they'll be back in action very soon. And, of course, Steve Abraham from Salem. We appreciate that. Ben Beals, the man behind the curtain. I think we'll start calling him Benny, at least for the rest of the
I think he and Steve had a private conversation before.
Before Steve bought his dog.
Absolutely.
Ben Beals always on point and dealing with issues all week, right up until we were on air. So we appreciate his effort as usual. And
thank you for the kind words the coaches have been sending Ben and you throughout the week about the broadcast, and it makes us feel really, really good to know that we're being of service to their communities and stuff like that. It's a wonderful feeling.
Yeah, we appreciate that for sure. All right, for my partner, executive producer Steve Beals, I'm Nick Anastas saying so long. We'll see you next Thursday at 6. We'll see you tomorrow night in Salem. This has been FNL Gridiron, presented by Beals Insurance.